Ebony. Wow.
Ebanie,
Seriously.
yeah.
Not to mention one thing about you that I will say to you. When I saw your picture, you
Uh-huh.
reminded me of so many people I know in Jamaica.
Okay.
You remind me of a lot of my family in Jamaica. So you got
Oh,
that
really?
familiar, yes, you got that familiar look about you. I was like, man, this guy's like family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just amazing. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you very well.
Fantastic, man. But look, dude, I want to say to you, obviously you don't know me. You know me through Torre.
Right.
Torre obviously is Terry Cedar's friend, and that's how I got to know you. So I got to give thanks to those guys for hooking this up.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. Excellent.
brilliant stuff. But let me ask first of all, what time is it in America right now?
It's about 5:05 p.m.
5:05. Oh, sorry. So I'm actually late, aren't I?
No, no,
I
it's all
thought,
right. It's all right.
okay, so I got the times wrong because America, there's so much stuff going, there's so many different time zones in America. It's
Yeah, I
easy
think
for,
it goes back in some.
yeah, some of them, yeah. So
Yeah,
depending where you are in the States, it's one of the things. So
yeah.
my apologies, but as I said to you, it's an absolute honor to be here talking to you. Okay.
All right. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
No, 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 no. I've looked at your CV and
Hmm.
it's impressive.
Thank you. And that's not all of it.
No, no, I imagine, but that's your life
Yeah,
anyway. But before
yeah,
we
yeah.
talk about that, I just want to say what's going on in America in terms of the coronavirus. What's happening right now for you? How has your life been recently?
Actually, it's been excellent because where I'm based,
Hmm,
I am about 4 hours away, actually 6 hours drive from New York.
hmm,
So I'm more in Virginia.
hmm,
And where we are, the coronavirus for the country is very good. We don't even have that many cases.
hmm.
And this is one of the states that has the least cases in America. As far as the country goes, the vaccine has been doing a great job because it's been going down. We see cases go down dramatically. So it looks like it's going to be something good, you know,
Okay,
at least
okay.
for us. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Obviously, what you want is to hear that. You don't want to, because obviously the last thing we want to hear is that America's struggling, because America is this great superpower.
Right.
America's struggling, everyone else is struggling, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
who are cousins and on the other side of the pond, as they say. But look, once again, thank you for agreeing to this interview.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you so much. But I just want to say, obviously, because people, not everyone knows you who you are, because obviously you're an artist, but you're also a producer.
Yeah.
So producers tend to be behind the scenes. So I just want to let
Right.
people know and also introduce a question with you. But I just want to let people know that this is the guy who's worked with the likes of Wyclef Jean, Angie Stone. Come on, Angie Stone. That song, I Wish I Didn't Miss You. That
Mm-hmm.
song, I don't think there's anyone on the planet, from our generation, my generation anyway, who basically hasn't heard that song.
Right.
I'm
Right.
gonna say to you.
Uh,
So there's obviously a lot of people will know that music and will know about you. The Preacher's song, I know that the Preacher's son, sorry, the
Preacher's
Preacher's
son. Yeah,
son,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's Wyclef Jean.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
if people don't know Wyclef Jean, obviously Fugees is
Fugees,
one of the
absolutely.
greatest hip hop bands in the world
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
Fugees. This is the guy he's worked with this guy, and obviously
Him.
again Rolling Stones. You worked with Rolling Stones.
Absolutely. That was my
My God.
first really big project. I was working out in New York in a place called Media Sound. It was
Mm,
owned by a guy who was linked with Atlantic Records, and his name was Michael Hectone, and he was a partner in Studio 54. I don't know if you remember that very famous club in Manhattan. That
I think they made a film about it.
Yeah,
Everyone knows Studio
and
54.
yeah, absolutely. With Andy Warhol used to be there and everything. So this gentleman, I was working with a group at the time called Young and Company. They had a
Mm,
big record out, a club record called "I Like What You're Doing to Me," and I was producing their album for Atlantic Records. And I was in one of the rooms, and the Stones was in a different room with a young engineer who was mixing.
mm.
Now, the president of the label came to see me because I was a kid then.
Wow.
And he was just shocked that I was pulling off this big project with Young and Company. And
Mm,
he brought his ladies down to just see me, and it was a big thing. So after he left, I was just walking out of the hall, going to take a soda or something. And the guy opened the door, called me, and come, right? Because he was panicking because he was working with the Rolling Stones.
wow.
But he saw that the president went to see me, this kid.
Mm,
So I must be special.
mm,
So he didn't realize it was my first real project. So I came over and he said, "Come, tell me what you think of this." So he was playing it back for me, and I heard there was Bobby Womack on the song, and I was listening. I said, "You know what? This sounded a bit confusing." because Bobby Womack is all over the place, and I can hear Mick Jagger just perfect. I said, you know what you need to do? Let's make less of Womack and let's put him on the hook. And so we sat there and we just put this whole mix together, and I didn't think nothing of it. So I went back to my work. 3 weeks later, they were playing it on the Grammys.
Wow.
Harlem Shuffle.
My God, that's the track. That's the one, Harlem Shuffle. I was trying to work out what track it was. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, that's pure luck, you know, but also down to the hard work, but that put you in a great place. So obviously that would have set you up as a producer anyway. You'd probably done a lot of amazing things. So I want to ask you, who were you the most impressed by? In terms of all the people that you worked with, who were you the most impressed by? And I know you worked with Trey Songz as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I did a song with him on his last three. Well, he worked in our studio here. This studio is called Yellow House Studios. My partner and I built the entire place, and we have 3 rooms. So the first room, his brother, his name is AWOL. He's a top DJ. So he actually works as one of our engineers. So the brother used to bring him here, and this way he spends all his time recording when he is not in LA. And I really didn't want to be on the project because I had too many things going on. But he realized that they needed me that day. So I just went in and I helped out on one of the songs called Gonna Be. And that song came on before he did the Tremaine album. He had 3 mixtapes. And I think it was called Anticipation 1, 2, and 3. So that song came on 3. But I could have been in there working an entire album, but I wasn't really interested, you know, because I'm so involved in so many things that it's hard for me to just leave my clients just because it's Trey Songz. Although it's a good project, you know, but he's almost like family to us. So he's always here.
Wow. Yeah. But who are you most impressed with, though? Who of all the people you've worked with?
I think one person I'm most impressed with would be Levi from Blackstreet.
Okay.
You know, he had a song, was it Joy?
I don't know the song personally. I don't know the song.
Yeah, but it was a big single. It was actually co-written by Michael Jackson. And that was one of the biggest songs, on that album. And he became a friend because he is based out of Virginia Beach, which is not far from here. And we became close friends because he knew my work and I had records out and everything. And working with him, I saw a whole level of how an artist really performs in the studio, how he conceptualizes music and vocally, you know. So he was one of the people I'm most impressed with. I think the next person would be Wyclef. Wyclef works with such energy that all you have to do is put a beat together. And it takes him literally 10 minutes. And he's in there cutting the whole song.
Wow.
Yeah, his whole mood changes to a whole different thing. So,
well, I've heard this about a lot of artists, though. There's a magic, isn't there? They go into the studios and literally things come, like the beats, the music, every single thing is just changing and transforming something in the head of the creative. All of a sudden, there's magic.
You can literally see it. You can see the transformation because you look at him and he don't see you anymore. Like you're there and he's in the whole zone and he said, okay, go ahead, just set up the mic. You set up the mic. And he just walks in and just does it.
Lovely.
And then when he come out, then he said, oh, what you think?
Wow.
But before that, there's no conversation. It's just his whole zone. And that's how he did the entire album.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. And obviously, I've heard his track, the Redemption song, you know, the cover of Bob Marley track. That track is, I've seen him up there playing guitar. I didn't know he was a guitar player.
He's a keyboard player too.
Yeah.
He played in his father's church.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm one of the closest people.
But he played in his father's church, you say?
Yeah. I play keyboard in his father's church.
I've noticed that about a lot of the artists in America. A lot of the artists tend to be preachers' sons. They tend to be the sons of preachers. It's quite an interesting thing, isn't it? Even in the UK, I know lots of people in the UK whose parents are pastors. What is that relationship?
The thing about him and his family, they're from Haiti and they're deep rooted in the church, you know, and his brother and sister are good friends of mine, Melky and Sadek, you know, because they're involved with him quite a bit. And I was working with them basically and doing a lot of work with them before they were about to get a deal with Atlantic. And the thing that stopped that deal was 9/11. The day they were supposed to release that album, 9/11 happened. Wow. So the entire thing was squashed. But working with them, I realized that they're very disciplined and they come from that whole thing. You go around to the family, gatherings and everything, and everything's so spiritual and so homely. The mother is really sweet. And but the thing about it, Wyclef, I think when there's church, even Terence Trent D'Arby, I don't know if you remember him.
Oh no!
Right?
Oh, how can I not know? Remember, tell me, come on, Terence Trent D'Arby is phenomenal. Obviously, we know him because he was kicking the place up in the UK quite a lot.
Yeah. He's another one from church family.
Wow.
The mother and
like,
father.
what's going on? It's like it's rebel children, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
the mother and
kids.
Father are like my mom and dad. They took me in like a mom and dad. So I'm like a brother, younger brother. And being with them, I realized that the kids that come out, they actually want to break out from the church. They want to have a different life outside of the church before they go back. You know what I mean? And so when they come out, you see them for real. You don't see the person when they're in church, So I think that's what it is. A lot of them just searching for something else, because the church is so disciplined here, man. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's like a cult, but it's so strict that the kids are always running out, So that's where it's at. Yeah.
And on that note, obviously, look, change from the subject, but when I think about America, I often think about struggle. I mean, like you're talking about the church and that kind of stuff, and there's this black struggle to kind of maintain discipline within the black family, within the community, and everything else. But when I think about black people in America, especially, I think about struggle. As a creative, how do you separate that struggle? Or can you separate that struggle from the music?
You can to a point, but it's almost like saying, let's separate the notion that slavery happened. Let's just forget that. And let's just start from where we're at. But when today there is systematic slavery, where if you drive around, I bring you to America, I wouldn't say nothing to you. I'll just drive around different neighborhoods. And you can literally tell me, this is a black neighborhood. And you can tell me, this is a white neighborhood. Why? Because they actually stop them from getting grants, from getting bank loans. They overcharge them. This was a big thing in the news. And what's good about the internet is that it allowed these things to come out so clearly that now everybody has to restructure themselves, because now you can film everything, So the world is seeing.
You're talking about systemic racism, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what's happening. If I go to the bank, no matter how good my credit is, I will go through so much just to get a house, just to get a business going, just whatever, And there's literally something that happens in this town here where they actually drop bags of guns in the neighborhood.
Wow. Oh, no way. Kidding me?
Literally.
Just so that people can get the guns and they can cause problems.
Just so they can say, well, these black people are,
armed.
And it's not true. It's not like they don't want jobs. You would not hire you if you were black. Like for me, okay.
Where in America are you? Because obviously,
I'm in Virginia.
District, you're in Virginia. So that is notorious with probably a lot of those issues, probably racial issues, isn't it?
Virginia.
You're in the South.
States. Yeah, Virginia. Okay. Even in New York, you get it, but not as much. Virginia, I would say North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, not so much, because Atlanta is mainly black. California. Now, the thing about California is, again, if a black person, a young person decides to go get a job, the first thing they will say to you, you have to be bilingual.
Okay.
And the reason why they say
it's about raising the bar.
Yeah, and it's not because they want you to be bilingual. It's because they don't want to pay you what you're worth. Because they feel if they hire a Mexican, the Mexican will work for $3 when the wage is $10. So they will say that to be the reason why you wouldn't be able to get a job. So it's so many crazy things in America that this hip hop culture is about the only black culture or music in America that is not going away, because Black people created funk, they created jazz, blues, and rock, and they got away from it. But for some reason, hip hop is not going away because hip hop is always the regeneration of new kids. You know, new children always want to rebel. They don't want to do what you're doing, you know? And if you tell them no, they want to know why. So that's what hip hop is. So hip hop is never going to go away. Hip hop is the worst nightmare for America and for this whole society because it's saying to you, no, we're not going to listen. We look at what our ancestors been through, and we're not going to go through that. You know, so you tell us don't do it this way, we're going to do it that way. You know?
I hear you. Well, on that point, obviously, I mean, for me, it's like, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I think to myself, what made you then want to be a musician doing alternative music and not actually doing hip hop music and just think, you know, I'm not going to play an instrument. What made you want to play an instrument? Because this is the stuff that we want young people to do. I would love young people to be more driven towards playing an instrument. You know, it's great that there's all this kind of digital stuff. And I got back behind there, there's tons of digital stuff, but I know playing an instrument in itself can help you it distracts you from a lot of that life. So what made you want to be a musician?
Because as a child, I came from a culture of musicians. I came from a place where there was no digital, nothing. You had to actually play an instrument. You had to actually write a song. And the studio was such an elite place that not anybody could just walk in. You had to have an appointment. The prices were high. And whatever day they say for you to come, you have to have your act together. So if it is a drummer, you have to make sure he's there. The bass player, the guitar. These days, you can go on the computer and do whatever you want to do, and it, you know, and you can call it music, which it is, you know. But
it is music. It's music. They're very gifted. They're very gifted.
Absolutely. But put a guitar in their hands and it's alien, you know, or a keyboard in front of them, and that's alien. But that's where I came from. My whole thing was from actually playing music and being in a band and understanding what the audience is. It's the whole thing, you know. And I was always in love with the fact of hearing myself, you know, and seeing what I can do. I play 5 instruments, you know.
Wow.
And
what's your favorite instrument? What's your favorite instrument?
Guitar is my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah. I play drums, bass,
and piano, but the piano itself, you come alive. The piano's an amazing instrument too, though. You just come alive with that.
Yeah, that's just the foundation for me when I'm you know. But a lot of the stuff that I produce is all live, you know. The only thing I may work with is like drum sounds because I can get that live drum sound or whatever. I can control it a lot better, you know. But again, as an engineer, that's how I see things. And I was always in love with music since I was a child, you know, and singing in church as well. My dad pushed me to sing in the church. I didn't want to do it, and when I got there, I realized, I feel like I'm better than these people, you know? So that made me want to do it, you know, and getting the attention. And that's been my life. Yeah.
I hear you. So, you know, America is synonymous with rap music. What kind of drew you into a more alternative sound? Because you've worked with Rolling Stones, you're producing, you know, all sorts of people. Why didn't you just specifically go down that rap route?
When you play instruments and you know how to produce, you stop hearing styles. You start hearing music. I could play Chinese music and like it. I could play Indian music, reggae music, and I did a lot of reggae music at one point, you know. I work at Nardo ranks to many people. So I do what fits me. And because it's now an independent thing where you can do whatever you want to do and put it out, I just decided this album, I was going to make it all R&B. Now, one of my very close friends, he's one of the top guys at Sirius XM. His name is BJ Stone. And we've been working together for many years. And he's been behind me for so long to do an R&B album. And I was saying no, because I'm a rocker. I like to rock. My last album was full out rock. You know, it's called Maze. And he was mad because I was doing that, and you don't have that format for rock. So I said, all right, this album is going to be all R&B. So the first single that you heard tonight, that just took off across the board, you know, and I realized, well, maybe this is what I need to do for now, you know, but I do what hits me at the time, and because I'm independent, I can do whatever I want to do. That's the reason why I'm doing it now, you know.
So this is the current project you're working on now, is it?
Yes, yes, yes. It's a full album actually called For You. And the second single I'm going to put out in June. But this first single we're about to shoot a video for. And it's on actually Universal United Masters. Yeah.
Good.
If I should call on you, would you answer me? Answer me. Somehow I feel you would go the other way. How did we ended up like this? Tell me that suddenly I'm after one you miss. All I could do is just dream about you and wonder if you're lonely tonight.
One thing I want to ask you is, do you have a bugbear? Do you know what I mean by a bugbear? Do you have, what annoys you? What kind of things annoy you? Is there anything? Like for me, my bugbear is being called Mark instead of Mark Anthony. You know, what is your bugbear?
The only thing that I would say I would have a problem with is being in the industry for so long, and this is all I do, and I watch kids walk into the studio because I run the studio, and they're clueless and they don't care, and they think that they're so great, and I'm hearing what I'm listening to. I'm saying to myself, my God, man, I took so much time being who I am, and they just, it's almost like you go into the palace and you just take off your shoes and you throw a wrapper on the floor, and that's how I feel they're treating this industry. You know, this industry is one of the most prominent things and voice for people that they stand because it seems so easy to them that it's a voice that can help them and move them forward in their lives. So when I'm very selective in who I want to work with, because the minute I speak with you and you're sounding as though, well, this is nothing and I don't know who you are and I'm just going to do whatever, I don't want to work with you. That's my major thing right now. You know, I don't like the way they're treating this industry. You know?
Well, obviously for you, as a producer, you've also, in some regards, you've got the power of God at your fingers in many ways. You can change people's lives. So when you've got that ability to, okay, look, you want to be able to work with someone that you know respects that, you know, because we all know how difficult the industry is anyway. And we're, to get, as you said, as far as taking you to get to where you are, and the way the industry is changing, what we need in the industry is people that love the industry, artists that respect the industry, and the artists that want to take it to the next level. Otherwise, it's not going to survive. And that to me is very important. So I appreciate it, and I think you're doing exactly the right thing. Yeah, absolutely the right thing. And all I can is thank you.
Because again,
carry on what you're saying.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you. But yeah, because again, you know, and the other thing could be where I've never encountered too much racism, you know. That's another problem I have, because I'm living in America, and that's a very main topic, you know, of America. And because the world can see it now, America is trying to fix itself, you know. And it's difficult when people are so designed to feeling that they're better than someone else. It's hard for them not to get off that horse and say that I know that I'm nothing, you know. Everything is created by these people, regardless, we are people, all people, you know. And we don't have to say, well, you are this, you are that. And just to make you feel bad, is making people feel bad that important?
When I think about, you know, for example, what's going on in America, you know, Black people, I just think about what are we going to do ourselves to solve the problem? I find that, you know, the music is a reflection of the society that you talked about. The music is definitely a reflection of the society, okay?
Yeah.
And the community. And for me, it's like, it's all well and good asking for you know, everybody else to solve our problems. But I think we can solve our own problems. Yeah, that's my view. I don't know if that's, I don't know if you think that.
Actually, we're not asking anyone to solve our problems. We're whoever is in power, we're telling them that this is what we're going through. We're not allowed to get jobs. Nobody's saying anything until we say something. Then you try to change something. But if we say nothing, then it's like a regular day.
But I'm not on about that. That's absolutely understandable. Of course, if you're not able to, socioeconomically, you're being restricted from achieving. You're watching everybody else achieve, but you're not. I'm on about what it does to the society, to the people, to its own community. I'm on about what you see when someone decides they're going to sell drugs, or they're going to use their strength to be, being bullies, and they're going to intimidate certain people and make your life hell in terms of the community you live in. Because within the church, one thing I love about the church is that at least the church, what it does, it teaches people, consideration for each other and love for each other. There is a community that helps each other within the church. But then what you see in certain communities, like I know even in the UK, we've got a real problem with gangs, a real issue with gangs here, and we call it black on black crime. So if we actually went into those communities ourselves, did everything we could ourselves, took our time, took our energy, and said, okay, we're going to put some of that back into the youth. We have not done that. I know that's not been done yet. There's a lot of mentorships that go on, but the reality is that's all funded by the council. Once there's no more money, everyone's like, well, there's no money. What can we do? It's like, well, it should be something that we in ourselves think, you know what, that's what we've got to change ourselves, because we benefit from it. We benefit from the safety of our communities when we're looking out for the young people within them. Does that make sense? Do you feel that we have it within ourselves to go into our communities and change a lot of the problems that are going on? Because some of the behavior of the youth is what's creating the issues and the fear within our own community. We change that behavior. We might change the music that's been put out there itself. We might change the ideas. My thing is, we got to do better. We got to do better. We can do better. We got to do better.
All right. I do understand what you're saying. Let's try with the first thing you said, black on black crime. The reason why there's no such thing, it doesn't exist, is because if we're all black people in this room, we have a fight, there's no white person here, so it's going to be black on black. If there's a room of white people and there's a fight, it's going to be white on white crime.
Yeah, but they don't call it that. I understand that. I know these are labels, but we forget the labels. Forget labels, and then let's talk about the actual, the actual thing itself.
The other thing too, again, America is such a big picture that you have to take apart all the things from back then to now to really get the scope of why things are the way they are. Have you ever heard of Black Wall Street?
I have, yes, Tulsa, the Tulsa massacre.
Absolutely. Now that was all black businessmen, doctors, lawyers. They had their own bus company, their own banks, their own supermarkets. America didn't like that. They made sure it was burnt to the ground. Okay. There is so much behind the scenes that the world doesn't see. And the first thing they see in the news is black and black crime. Honestly, they're not that many. And the reason why they're not that many is because we are about 20-something%. So how can we have more crime than anybody else?
So you're saying it's disproportionate?
Yeah. So if you say that we are not getting ourselves together and trying to put things together, make sure the kids are having some kind of a future or whatever, that's not true. My partner and I, just right here, behind us is called Jackson Ward. Jackson Ward in Richmond, Virginia, was one of the places. Here's the reason why it's like this. There was a lady who, my God, her name, there's a statue, Maggie Walker. Maggie Walker was half black. Maggie Walker started her first penny bank for black people, right here. And this was one of the most prominent black areas in Richmond, Virginia, which Richmond is the capital of Virginia. And because they didn't like the idea of all these prominent black people, every business was black owned. They slowly got them all out, took the money out, So
Wow.
Jackson Ward became ghetto. And the
Oh.
people in there, there's no money, there's no jobs, and they have to bus them very far for jobs and everything else. Now, when they want to take it back, the university, VCU, bought the entire area, got rid of all these people.
Wow.
They moved the buses from the main road and put it to the back because they don't want the foreigners to see the bus. And then sent out a letter. If you come here to go to school there, you get a letter that says, do not walk in this area, that area.
Wow.
Now you can, because they bought the entire place and they tore all the houses down. So now they're going to build condos that Black people cannot afford.
Gosh.
This is just one thing. All right. I speak with them every day in the studio here. They're not dumb. They are bright. And I'm saying to myself, well, why can't they get a job? Why can't they? But then I know, I'm asking a question that I know, that cannot happen. And number one, they can't, if they go to the job, they're going to call them thugs, no matter how they dress, because they want to make sure they don't get that job.
Gosh.
This thing is real. This thing is real.
It's the spirit. It's the spiriting.
And
the spiriting.
that's the reason. Yes, it's real. And a lot of these kids, I'm not mad at them. They want to sell drugs and do whatever, and they get themselves to wherever they're going. I'm okay with that. Because if you're not going to let them do it, guess what? They're going to do it anyway. If you don't want to give them a better opportunity, they're going to do whatever they want to do. And I've seen myself at one time when I was a kid trying to get a job. I was in California. Now, I was working at a furniture store. I got the job without them really seeing my application because I've never worked before. I don't know what my job was. So my job was to come in, sit down, have coffee, and just chill out, watch the river and everything. And every day, that was my job.
Wow.
Listen to the radio and I sing all day, right? I went one day to a restaurant next door. It was a Mexican restaurant. I've never seen a Mexican person before because I just came from South America. So the father of the place, he was shocked that a Black person walked in. I didn't realize that either. But he was shocked that a Black person walked into his restaurant. And he knew I worked with those people. So he says to me, so you work next door? I said, yeah. He says, they don't hire any Mexicans. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, you are the quota. I said, what do you mean? I don't understand this thing. He says, they prefer to get a Black person in there because if they don't have someone who's a minority, they would have the business shut down. The business was owned by a president, Ronald Reagan.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah. So when I hearing these things for the first time, just make my heart sink because I'm saying, oh my God, they hate these people so much. They don't want them to be in there. They prefer to take a Black person that they hate just as much, but a Black person will do better than a Mexican.
God, it's so demoralizing.
Yes, they pay me for doing absolutely nothing.
Oh my gosh.
So this thing I experienced myself. So when
I'm so glad you're sharing it with us. I'm so glad you're sharing that with us.
Yes, when we aren't doing anything for each other or whatever, it's not true. It's not true at all. We are one of the top promoters here. We have a company called Creative Nation. We bring all the artists to the town, to the capital and everything. We hire all Black people all the time. We had a promotional company called Street Rap Promotion that worked for every label from Puffy to 50 to everybody. All our entire team was Black. So yes, we do help each other, but only we can do it. But you'll never see that because it's always a situation where you're going to see or hear things that says, well, they're nothing, or they don't want to help themselves. Really? Give us something to see what we do. Just give us some land and see what we'll do.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah. Absolutely, totally agree. But also, with all of that, I understand, and I still see and I still feel that there are still solutions that need to be found to solving some of those issues, because there's still some things. I don't know about in America. I know within the UK, because the problems that I grew up with, they still apply in the UK. And there are opportunities. It's difficult, but there are opportunities. You know, and I can see that and I know that. But the point is, there is still a lot of the gangs. They have a stranglehold on the youth out here. You know, and that's something that we've got to work on to help them, give them the opportunities. Those gang leaders, they're just as good as anybody else in terms of you give them the opportunities, you give them the skills. They could be out there earning real money and having a complete different pathway in life. But sadly, as you say, everything you're talking about is probably what's limiting them from where they really put their true potential.
You know, again, the media highlights the smallest of the worst society, and they consider that America, but that's not true. America are 52 states. And not all 52 states have the issues that we're talking about, because Black people don't live in all 52 states. They're concentrated in just a few states, you know? And those few states, thank God for Atlanta, because Atlanta is majority Black and most prominent Black people there. You can't burn down the entire city because white people live there too. So that's one of the places, and that's how we have to do it, you know? A place with all Black is scary, you know? So we have to intermingle and make ourselves what we want to be. The most prominent Black people in America are in Atlanta. The most millionaires in America that are Black are in Atlanta.
I hear you. And I will say something. Can you hear me?
Again, yes, I hear you.
I was in Queens. I'm in New York. I was in Queens, and my experience of Queens. Yeah, the Black communities out there, it was incredible. I loved it out there, and that's the thing, because we don't see that here. You know, when we're in the UK, Black communities are sadly synonymous with crime. A lot of those communities, even though, as you say, there's a lot of people doing great things, but what they present and what they see, because who knows what's going on. But obviously they are, there's gangs and things like that. When I was in Queens, it was a middle-class community, Jamaican people, because I've been to see a lot of the Jamaican community, because obviously I was a Jamaican artist. I'm British, but my family come from Jamaica. So for me, it was like, that's where I went to meet the people. And, it was just, everyone's out in the yards, there were parties going on out the front. It was peaceful, it's beautiful, like any street you go anywhere. All the stuff that we think of when we think about Black people, it wasn't going on. So there's a lot, clearly there is a lot of stuff. There's a lot, like you said, the media presents that side of the story, but it's not the true story.
And one of the things about that you said, Queens is on the eastern seaboard of America, and that's in the north. Now, everything is in the north. Remember, all the slaves ran to the north and became rich, right?
Okay.
That's why you're going to find New York, Connecticut, Maine, Boston, New Jersey, Delaware. You're not going to find the things that you're hearing in the news, because those are the most prominent people. Pennsylvania, that's all east. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's where the most of America's capital comes from. So when you speak of Queens itself is a mixture of Guyanese, Jamaican, Trinidad, Barbadian. So this is West Indian people who didn't come with a crazy culture. They came to a place that they know they're going to make themselves, what they want to be. So
the American dream. They're going to go. They're going to follow
absolutely.
American dream.
Absolutely. Even New Jersey, East Orange, and all those places. When the West Indians came there, they taught the Black people of America how to conduct themselves. And the Black people started to become like them. Right now, East Orange is pretty much owned by the Haitians, the Jamaicans, and the Guyanese.
Wow.
So,
Thank you.
So, and they're showing them how to conduct themselves. If you go there, you're not going to hear anything like you hear in the news. Those isolated situations is just for them to believe, the word to believe, this is how Black people are. And there's still that thing where they always want to hold something over the Black person's head so that whoever wants the power can feel that they're so powerful, but it's not happening. Because this media, this internet is not allowing that to happen.
Wow.
So that's where we're at right now. Yeah.
Brilliant. And that's the reason why we're having this interview. So we can basically find the true
Yes, sir.
story, have a conversation about music, but
Absolutely.
also find a true story so that, you know, the people viewing can learn from these conversations that we're having. So I can't thank you enough, Ebony. Trust me, I can't thank you enough, because you're sharing in a dialogue that a lot of people are, or we're all having now. A lot of these artists are having, and there seems to be this familiar story coming up where we're seeing that the industry, you know, society, media are all to play in a negative way, preventing positive music coming out, real music, guitar music, you know. And another thing I want to ask you as well is about, there was something someone said to me, I think it was Louis Matoya. Do you know Louis Matoya? Have you heard
Yes.
Louis Matoya? Four Non Blonde?
Absolutely. He used to play with Terrence Trent D'Arby. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Louis Matoya said something about it was to do with you know, like not being able to play, like they don't play guitars, like lead guitars on black radio. There's no lead guitars being played on black music. You know, they took all the lead guitars out. Why are they taking all the lead guitar riffs out of black music? What's all that about?
Well, actually, that's partly true, you know, but I think the reason for guitars to be out of music now is because music is not what it is. Music is not live. Music is what the new culture wants, you know, this new generation. They want digital music. They want something that is quick and easy to listen to. And, you know, they don't have the time. Even them want to become stars, and they don't have the time. Yeah, they don't have the time to actually learn an instrument, you know? So when you see somebody like her playing the guitar, they're shocked. Oh, that's amazing. No, it's not amazing. It's usual. That's normal for us. You know, when Clef is on the drums or on the guitar, it seems like unusual. Why? Because he's a rapper? No, because he came from a musical family. He just happened to rap, you know? It's still up to us as artists to do what we have to do to change this whole dynamic of what they consider music. And I think that it's whoever is running the industry still have a foothold on what they want to, or they believe the kids want to hear.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely.
They're saying, well, I think the kids don't want to hear guitars. Then they figure, well, we're the only ones that can get you music all over the world, so we're not going to put guitars in it. So that's why you hear it. But it's not that the people don't want to hear guitars. Of course, they want to hear what's good. If it's good, people want to hear it. You know. So yeah, I don't really believe that at all. And again, because
but that's to say that what you're just corroborating this. You're corroborating the story that the industry is actually preventing that music from actually coming to the fruition.
Absolutely. You know, they want to tell you, and a lot of these people who are telling you, they're not musicians. They want to tell you what they think the people want to hear. How would you know what the people want to hear if you didn't give it to them? You know, if you're feeding them cheap Chinese food and I want to give them caviar, and you said, well, no, they're not going to like that. How do you know? You know, you have to give it to them. And now that the industry is what it is, it belongs to the people now, then we can do whatever we want to do. Like what I'm doing, I don't really care to be in any label. I have my own label. I have distribution, but I have my own label. I can do whatever I want to do. That's the reason why I'm producing the music I like, you know?
Yeah. Independence the way forward. Ebanie Gold, once again, thank you so much today, you know, for coming along and doing this interview with us at Cluster View. Absolute pleasure. We'll certainly want to speak to you again, see what you're doing in the future, your projects. And I'd love to get you on our website as well as an artist. I'd love to have you on our website. Is that something we can do? Because we've got an artist page. It'll be great to have you on our site. So that all artists, all our people that view our site can see your stuff, see your music, and know a bit more about you as an artist as well, and the projects you've worked on. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Wonderful. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night, and I look forward to speaking to you again, sir.
If I should call on you, would you answer me? Answer me.